What's up, guys? This week I wanted to validate a midterm topic that I wanted to explore. So I want to learn more about how end of life satellites operated and see if there's like a vulnerable time for bad actors to attack. So I came across a paper by Iridium in 2019. So Iridium had a unique opportunity to deorbit 65 satellite constellation after it had replaced it with its newer Next constellation. So it was essentially one of the first companies to deorbit a large constellation. And on December 2019, the company announced that it had placed its final satellite into passivity mode for eventual deorbit. And the paper disclosed a pretty robust deorbit program. They call it the 7Ds that enabled Iridium to essentially place these older satellites into lower 125 kilometer orbit for the denser atmosphere to drag and lower the satellite into eventual safe breakup. And in particular, the deorbit program did address what I think are two vulnerable areas that a hacker could attack. So the program did call for depressurizing of the propellant tank and discharging of the battery. Because, propulsion could make satellites a kinetic weapon. And also, NASA disclosed that it actually had 8 battery explosions in space due to overcharging. And all in all, Iridium was able to put the entire constellation into passivity mode safely, and eventually led most of the constellation to deorbit. However, I did notice that the paper itself and another space news revealed that it took about 2 to 3 years between the end of service for the B1 constellation and the end of the deorbiting program. So this kind of helped to validate some of my hypothesis that it could be a particular vulnerable time to attack these end-of-life satellites. So essentially, during those vulnerable 2 to 3 years, the Iridium B1 constellation had lost its commercial usefulness to its operators. And I also look in my space mission engineering textbook, and on chapter 29 in particular, I showed a table that in a typical SpaceSat operation, the operation had about 10% of labor resources towards the end of the mission versus the height of the mission. So it kind of validated that towards the end, you just naturally invest less and less onto these end-of-life satellites. And in those times, I feel like that's when we could let our guard down, and especially when we don't have any strong cybersecurity measures during those times. We could still face bad actors taking control over these satellites with some propulsion and battery left.